Hey, what's up everyone? Morey Croson here, and today we're going to be going over Shericka Jackson's World Championship record, and we're going to start the video right now. This is the newest edition of the Performance Lab.
Reach your individual goals. You don't want to just talk about straight line speed. We also want to talk about your ability to be quick. We break down your video. Let's make you into the quarterback I know you can become.
All right, so what a day in the World Championships yesterday. We had two amazing 200-meter races. We had Noah Lyles first, and then, we had Shericka Jackson first, and then we had Noah Lyles as well. Noah Lyles ran a 19:31, third best time ever, and then we had Shericka Jackson run the second best time and World Championship record of 21:45. We'll go ahead and break it down here. So on the right, we got the beginning part of the race. We have Shericka Jackson here in lane 4. We also have Shelly and Pryce, who came in second and was the world champion at the 100-meter as well. And the big thing that stands out, the thing that I just love to watch about Shelly and Pryce is just how fast she is out of that start. I mean, she just does a great job of being able to pick up a lot of distance very, very quickly. She basically gets into her top speed in terms of how she's cycling the legs right away, just because of how much kind of force she's able to generate off the ground. Big thing that I say with that is going to be, we got to be able to maximize internal rotation off of that push off. We got to make sure we're able to get into good dorsiflexion as the leg comes through, so then we can go and really strike the ground with a lot of force down underneath us and really be able to get the plantar flexion necessary to just generate the most amount of force when we're sprinting. So we also have Shericka Jackson here. We'll take a look at her start. Very, very good. She's obviously a little bit longer, a little bit taller, and so she needs to make sure to just create really, really good turnover, right? So Shelly Ann Fraser-Pryce, really because of her height, being 5 foot, she needs to make sure that she's able to get the most amount of distance per step kind of as early as possible, okay, because Shericka Jackson's a little bit taller, really the big thing that she wants to just be able to do is maintain a good position within her, her legs need to be able to, so she needs to just turn the legs over fast, right? I guess that'd be the easiest way to say that, is just to be able to turn over the legs fast. By the way, if you haven't watched one of these videos before, haven't watched my channel before, we do breakdowns like this all the time, just to give you a better understanding of how the best in the world are running, and then how you can apply that to be able to make it so you can run faster as well. So if you like the information, click that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. We're constantly posting videos just like this, so be happy to be able to have you as a subscriber, be able to check out tonight too. We're going to be doing the 400-meter live for both the men and the women. We'll also be going over the heats for the 4x1 too. So big thing that happens here when we're going around the curve, okay, is we got to be able to, as we're pulling back with that inside leg, there's going to be a degree of what's external rotation. So typically when we're landing, we want to be landing more on like the inside part of the foot. But once we get into this top speed, now we want to be landing and really into this curve during the top speed. We want to be landing on the inside leg with plenty of pull, but also get that external rotation necessary to make it so then we could control the landing. And that foot wants to be landing a little bit more underneath the hip, and then we want to be transitioning forward from there. We still want to be able to limit foot contact time the best we can, but there's going to be a little bit more side-to-side motion or lateral motion here in comparison to when we're running at top speed. We're not going to get as much side-to-side action. Then that outside leg is going to be landing very similar to how it is when we're actually sprinting. We're going to be much more on the inside part of the leg there, and then we want to just be able to really, really limit foot contact on that one. So the outside leg is going to be very, very quick off the ground. That inside leg is going to be a little bit longer, a little bit more turned out, but again, that's going to be natural for the 200-meter just because of what you're going through a turn right there, right? And so, yeah, just being able to connect to that is important. You can see Shericka Jackson. I mean, the big question was, would she be able to run that curve great? Similar to Noah Lyles, right? Everybody knew that once you get to your top shoot, she's going to be great. Elaine Thompson, you could tell that she is just not as healthy as a lot of us thought she would be. We do want to take a look at Abby Steiner. She was a big name going into it. I did make a video about, kind of Abby Steiner versus Shelly Ann Fraser-Pryce. She didn't get a great draw here, being in that 8th lane. That's going to be very difficult to be able to kind of get a gauge of where you're at. But at least in the semifinal, she was able to feel what it was like with Shelly Ann Fraser-Pryce. Shelly Ann got really out quickly. And so you can see Abby Steiner did the best that she could to be able to get out in front, but that lane 6 ends up being a great lane to be able to start out in. So, there's it ends up being tough in that lane 8. to be able to maintain a good position, just because that ends up being a tough turn there at the end. We want to be able to show this video just because we want to be able to see that landing. So she does such a great job of being able to get plenty of air time here, right? We'll be able to look to see foot contact time, 5.8, right? And really a little bit after that, right? 5.8 is right here, but she still doesn't look like she hits the ground until closer to there. So we could probably say a little bit more in between right there. And then she's right back off the ground around that 6.8, you know, even before that 6.8. So she could probably be off the ground around 6.7, probably going to be hitting the ground around 5.9, maybe even 0.60. So her foot contact time is going to be somewhere between that 0.07, 0.08, which is excellent, exactly where you want to be. You could even see how strong she is in those like hamstring legs here, and that's super important to be able to understand. Like the best sprinters in the world, they're able to contract very, very strong during this pullback, right? So their legs and the hamstrings, and this is where hamstring injuries happen and why it's so difficult to be able to consistently run at such a high speed, is because you get that leg out in front here, right? And you want to be able to almost be relaxed within the leg, so then we can get a nice quality stretch. Okay, so now the hamstring is fully stretched at this position, and then it's maximally contracting to be able to get that foot to be able to come right back underneath. And the idea is to be able to land with that foot as close to right underneath the hip as possible, so then we could very effectively land with most of our weight in the front part of the foot and then transition right back off. And why it's important to be tall in your top speed is because when we're able to maintain more height, right, we could use that tibia length, right, and the angle of this shin is really important when it comes to, you know, when we're pushing off, where that shin's at, okay? And so if we can get in a position, really the closer to 30 degrees, the better, okay? And I'm just trying to make this line up with the ground there. And so she's around 40 degrees, it looks like. And so we want to be able to get that shin angle as low as we can, because then when we're pushing off, we're getting both a vertical press as well as a horizontal movement. So the optimization comes into really being able to cycle the best that we can, or use your legs to be able to get as much forward as we can and then pull back underneath. So we want to be able to maintain more of a forward out position or a horizontal action within the body. But if we can get all the way up onto these toes, right, this is where that big toe range of motion matters. That's where that shin angle matters. That's where being tall and having a good understanding of how to utilize the arms matter, because that will make it so then we can maintain more of a natural vertical pattern. Okay, so it's not really about pushing up, right? It's really being able to cycle the legs as fast as we can, but if we get in the right angles within the body, within the toes, within the spine, it makes it so we're able to maintain that vertical position. That's where Shericka Jackson can really excel in the 200 meter and even within the 400 meter, okay? Because she has that ability to have a great top speed there, right? Limited foot contact time, able to get very, very vertical. We can see how much distance or how much time she's kind of spending off the ground there. So she could get very, very vertical, right? But is really generating a lot of horizontal force. Could even do a better job of really pushing off right here and driving that knee through. She's really even kind of late with that knee drive. She could probably have an even faster turnover, to be honest, if she was able to work on that. So yeah, you can kind of get an idea of how in depth I want to look at all the parts of running, right? We want to see your start, we want to see your drive, we want to see your top end speed. If you're unfamiliar with what I do, essentially what it is, you send in video to me and I'll go and break it down, really look into the specifics of the mechanics. And I think that's where most people have the biggest amount of errors, right? There's a ton of time put into running fast, running hard, getting in great shape. The reason that Shericka Jackson won wasn't because she was in way better shape than all these other women, right? It wasn't because of that. It was because she had the best mechanics. She was the most refined. She had the best ability to maximize what she has within her body, and that's why she ran the second best time ever, 21:45. As much as she could continue to improve, and you could see some of the things that we talked about in terms of how she can improve. Same with Fred Curley, who won the 100 meter. Same with Shelly and Pryce. Like, everybody has things that they can get better at, okay? It's just going to be about how we can maximize who we are and how we run to make it so we can get the most out of it, right? Because Christian Coleman, for instance, like, he has such a great start, but because he utilizes some of the mechanics that he does within the start, it negatively impacts him when he gets to top end speed. Fred Curley is in that same position with his start. He has such a great start for how big he is, how tall he is, which is why he is a great 100-meter runner, is because he has that turnover. He has that length. He could work a little bit on that top speed, that top end speed, to be a little bit more effective and efficient. But the thing is that ability that he has from the top end speed is kind of built within the start, and because he has such a great start, he's able to run the 100 meter so well. So you want to be able to kind of navigate through for each individual what's going to be the best for them to make it so they could run the fastest, and that's what we want to be able to do by utilizing the breakdowns and getting objective. Okay, I'm all about objectivity. We want to see foot contact time going down. We want to see numbers going down. We want to see distance per step improving. Everything needs to get better in order to know that we are actually making improvements. But if you're not getting any measurements, if you're not actually looking objectively as if you're improving, right? Obviously, we could do objective numbers from in the weight room, right? But the weight room doesn't always transfer over to sprinting. What transfers over to sprinting is sprinting and understanding the numbers within the start, within the drive, within the top end speed. So if you don't know you're flying 10, if you don't know the first 10, if you don't know how many steps you need to be taking, if you don't know what your flying 30 looks like, then you really have a difficult battle in terms of how you're going to be able to compete with the best, because the best understand that those numbers are critical and we need to be able to isolate what it is that we're trying to improve. So that's what we do here at the Performance Lab. You could check out the description down below to find out a little bit more about it. But yeah, I mean, thanks for watching. Again, if you like the information, click that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, click that notification bell. We'll see you guys tonight, 400 meters, men and women. We're going to be on probably about 7 o'clock. So really looking forward to it. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon.